Some good news this afternoon from the UFC. The UFC have announced that they are going to Belgrade, Serbia, August the 1st. This is a great bit of news. The UFC have never been to Belgrade before. They don't usually go anywhere outside of your England, your France. In Europe, it's good to see they're finally branching out and going to new countries. They did it last year with Azerbaijan. They're doing it again that year. I'd like to see this be a regular thing. Go to some more different countries in Europe. Got Netherlands, Poland, Russia, Ireland, Wales, even you got some prospects from there. Yeah, good to see the UFC are moving on to new countries, new places. It's boring seeing the same fight venues every week. However, in this video, I'm going to go through my proposed card of what I would do if I ran the UFC for UFC Belgrade in Serbia. It's a tad bit unrealistic. However, this would be a stat card, and it's not that hard for UFC to pull off. Good news though that they're going to Belgrade, Serbia. Headline in the card, I would like to see Jiri Prohaska return. This is in Europe. He's European. I'd like to see him take on another European. I'm pretty sure Bogdan Guskov's from Europe. Bogdan Guskov in the main event. Maybe a tad bit unrealistic as Yuri, obviously. Did he lose to Carlos Hulberg? I don't remember that fight. I can't remember what happened there. But Bogdan Guskov meant to fight Jan Blachowicz at UFC 328. Jan Blachowicz is pulled out. Why not make him main event in Serbia against another European? Two Europeans throwing it down, highly ranked. Yuri on the verge of another title shot, probably if he beats Guskov. There's not really many contenders in that division. Guskov deserves a jump up after his good performance against Jan Blachowicz. Was meant to fight him. He's injured, torn meniscus. I would have put this on the card, but that was probably too soon for Jan. I'd like to see Bogdan Guskov take on Yuri Prohaska in the main event. He's a tad bit unrealistic, but it's doable. And if that doesn't happen, well, we'll get onto that guy next. Maybe they could do Uros Medic in the main event. However, I don't think he's that big of a star at the moment to put him in the main event. He's not that highly ranked. They see him go to Azerbaijan with Rafael Fiziev, and they still put Dominic Reyes, Khalil Roundtree, and Jamal Hill in the main event. I would like to see Yuri Prohaska versus Guskov in the main event. They're both European, very good fight, light heavyweight division. Maybe if Guskov gets a highlight reel KO, you could get a title fight. The division's very shallow. I would like to see that be the main event. However, it could be too soon for Yuri, but he didn't really take that much damage. I know he got knocked out, but that was about it. The fight lasted about 2 minutes. So, did he get knocked out though? I don't remember. But anyway, yeah, make that as the main event, please. It is no surprise. Uros Medic will be on this card. I'd like to see him take on, though, proper Mike Malott in the co-main event. Maybe it could be the main event. I don't think he'll get that Leon Edwards fight. Leon Edwards is heavily rumoured to fight Daniel Rodriguez. But his name, D-Rod, whatever his name is, Rodriguez at the International Fight Week. So that only really leaves Mike Malott in the rankings. Maybe an MVP. Inside this welterweight division, it's stacked. A lot of matchups booked. Uros Medic and Mike Malott, MVP. The odd ones out. I'd like to see Uros Medic take on Mike Malott. Mike Malott probably doesn't deserve to fight up. He can't anyway. They're all booked. And let's be honest, he beat Gilbert Burns. Gilbert Burns isn't really ranked. That was just an easy matchup for Mike Malott to get in the rankings. However, I don't think he goes any further. And I think Uros Medic probably slimes him out. If he doesn't want to take it, do MVP. If Leon Edwards doesn't fight D-Rod, do Leon Edwards. That could even be the main event if Yuri isn't there. But Uros Medic will 100 billion% be on this card. I would like to see him take on Mike Malott. A solid scrap in the welterweight division. Mike Malott is kind of underrated on the feet. Obviously, he beat Gilbert Burns, but before that, solid KO over Raki. Raki's okay, but Mike Malott hasn't really proved it against elite comp. Nor is Uros Medic really. His best win is Jeff Neal. Two decent prospects. The winner should get a big matchup in the division. Obviously, Uros Medic is going to be on the card. It's in his home country. Yeah, I'd like to see Uros Medic versus Mike Malott. Maybe Medic versus Edwards in the main event if Yuri isn't available. But yeah, for sure, Uros Medic. I'd like to see him take on Mike Malott. Feature fight, I would like to see Alexander Rakic take on Anthony Delia in the heavyweight division. Rakic is moving up. I'm 99% sure Rakic is moving up. However, if he isn't, I want him to move up. And Delia, that would be a good fight for him. Delia from Croatia, a neighbouring country of Serbia. That should be a decent scrap. I'm very disappointed in Delia's last fight against Sergey Spivak. I thought he'd easily smoke Sergey Spivak, but Sergey Spivak's solid. And I think that's a fair matchup for Rakic into the heavyweight division. I don't think he should have to fight an unranked guy. He's clearly UFC ranked caliber. We've seen him in the light heavyweight division. I know he's on a downward spiral, but I do think that weight cut was too much for him. Rakic is huge, should be a heavyweight, and that's a fair fight. Both guys European. Rakic is Serbian. This could be the co-main event if Yuri versus Guskov doesn't happen. But I would like to see Alexander Rakic make his heavyweight debut against Delia. That should be a great scrap. Two good strikers. Rakic moving up in his home country against a solid guy in the division. I'm pretty sure he's number 10, number 11, Delia. Delia doesn't deserve to fight up after losing to Spivak. probably would easily beat a Teixeira or a Mick Parkin, trains with Mick Parkin anyway. So I'd like to see him take on a newcomer to the division, Rakic. That's a good test for Rakic. Delia's solid. You have to be pretty decent to beat a Delia. Yeah, should be a very good scrap. For sure, Rakic will probably be on this card. He is Serbian. There's not many Serbians in the UFC. We'll find out who other Serbians I've got on this card in a minute. Next matchup, I would like to see Losine Kita, our son, Nathaniel Wood's son, take on Kelvin Keita. This is maybe a tad bit unrealistic as Keita probably would want to be on that UFC Paris card. Anyway, this is still in Europe. He's from Europe. I know he's from Europe. Yes, yes, yes. Calvin Keita, a solid guy. Losine Keita is clearly a solid featherweight, octagon champ. The close fight with Nathaniel Wood. People say he won, he didn't win. But solid guy on the verge of the rankings. Calvin Keita, been there, done it, experience. Losine Keita probably deserves a matchup like this. Now I'd like to see him fight on this card in Europe. Solid featherweight fight. Both guys solid. Keita's hard to put away. You see Yusuf Salal couldn't do it. Steve Garcia couldn't do it. I'm pretty sure Steve Garcia fought Calvin Keita. Call me a casual all you want. But I would like to see Losine Keita versus Calvin Keita. Solid fight. Keita's very durable, kind of like a Nathaniel Wood. So that would be a good test for Keita to see if he's adapted in his game. Because Keita doesn't really like to set up the shots. In that fight against Wood, he was just going for the power shots. And Nathaniel Wood was just out voluming and won a decision. Calvin Keita would probably look to do the same. However, I would favour Keita. That's a solid featherweight matchup. And I'd like to see that on UFC Belgrade. Another fight I would like to see on this card is Nasrat Haqparast versus Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert coming off of an incredible form against Nalo. Did look dodgy in that first couple of minutes where Nalo had him rock bad. Showed true heart. Been there and done it in the cage with some very good guys. Fares Ziam, Ilia Topuria, obviously. Yeah, I'd like to see him take on Nasrat Haqparast. Nasrat Haqparast took a decent amount of time off, rightfully so, after what Kulin Selkirk did to him. That should be a solid matchup. Haqparast deserves to fight down. Jai Herbert deserves a fight up. Last time out, I had a close fight with Chris Padilla before that fight with Nalo, Jai Herbert. Solid guy, pretty boring. I would probably favour Haqparast here. However, Jai Herbert can, if he puts it on you, he's got solid power. This should be a decent fight. Both guys from Europe. Maybe it could be on an Abu Dhabi card later on, but that's a solid European fight to put on UFC Belgrade. Two promising lightweights. I know Jai Herbert's a bit mid and old, but that's a solid fight for Haqparast to take coming back. A decent guy and some hype coming off a KO. Nasrat Haqparast before that was on a 5-fight win streak. Solid European guy, well-rounded, beating Esteban Ribovic as his notable win. That should be a solid fight. I would like to see that on the card. Opening up the main card, I would like to see UFC sign some Serbian prospects from outside of the UFC. And there's two I'm going to go through. The first one is Miljan Zdraskovic. Probably butchered that name, whoever he is. 10-0, bantamweight champ, 26 years of age at Fight Nation Championship. He's fought in KSW, fought some good comp. He's a solid striker, 26 years of age. The UFC, if they're going to go to Serbia, they need to sign some more Serbians. There's not many Serbians on the roster. This guy's 10-0, undefeated, champ outside another B League organization. Why not sign him? I know he's not fought on the Contender Series or nothing. Why not sign him if you're going to go to that region and give him a chance against a solid bantamweight contender in Gaston Bolaños? Doesn't necessarily have to be Gaston Bolaños. The whole point of this was to, advertise what's his fucking name? Miljan Zadraskovic, and get him in the UFC, get some Serbian prospects in the UFC. There's not many of them. Yeah, anyone really. I've just gone with a random Gaston Bolaños. I'd like to see Miljan Zadraskovic in the UFC. 10-0, solid strike, undefeated. Could be against any bantamweight. But why not sign some Serbian prospects? 10-0, he's undefeated, solid striker. Give him a chance. He's only 26. Not many Serbian prospects. And headlining the prelims, the other Serbian champ outside the UFC I was on about for the UFC to sign is Borislav Nikolovic. He's a featherweight, former Brave FC champ, still decent contender in Brave FC. 16-2. He's 33, getting a bit old, but they need some more Serbian talent. I'd like to see them sign this guy. He's pretty solid, well-rounded striker. Got a couple of guillotine finishes on the ground. Bogdan Grad's a good grappler. That'll be a good test to see if his grappling is legit. Solid striker, got some guillotine wins, triangle chokes. Solid striker on a 5-fight win streak, all by KO. Sign him in the UFC, give him a chance. I know they're not on the traditional Contender Series route, but you haven't got Serbian prospects. If you're going to go to Serbia, you need it. I've already said it. Yeah, give him a solid guy in the featherweight division like Bogdan Grad. Bogdan Grad's 0-2, losing to Naimov and Luke Riley. He's shown against Luke Riley he's a solid grappler. However, he's probably fighting for his contract. But I would like to see another Serbian prospect, Borislav Nikolovic. I keep looking away because, yes, I don't know who he is. However, I would like to see him sign to the UFC. Get some more Serbian prospects. I don't know how many more times I need to say it. On the prelims, I would like to see Ibo Aslan take on Brenderson Ribeiro. Two sort of light heavyweight guys. Ibo Aslan's from Turkey. That's a reasonably close fight. fight. Reasonably close country to Serbia. Probably would be on an Abu Dhabi card. However, they could attract him onto this card. Solid European guy. They're going to want to put some solid Europeans on this card. Brenton Ribeiro, solid guy in the division as well. Losing last time out to Abdul Rahman Yakayev. He's a solid UFC guy, been in the division for years. All sorts of prospects like Yakayev, as I just said, Umar Sy, etc. What's his name? Zhang Ming Yang. However, he's come up short against all those guys. This is a solid bout. Both guys are pretty mid. We see Aslan Nusta Baranetsky, Bilal Lakana. He's probably fighting for his contract. The loser probably gets cut. It should be a solid fight. If they both engage, there's a high chance of a KO. Solid light heavyweight European contender Aslan. Solid fight in the light heavyweight division. Put it on this card. Next fight on the card I would like to see in the prelims is Dusko Todorovic, the Serbian, versus Montas Konstravicus. I'm pretty sure he's from Lithuania, some small European country. Both guys European. Todorovic is Serbian. They're going to want him on this card. Serbian prospect. Yes, he's pretty shit. However, he's coming off a win against Jose Medina. Saved his contract. He is pretty bottom of the barrel at middleweight division. He's probably going to lose here. Probably gets cut. So it'd be nice for him to go out in a home fight in his home country. Serbian guy, not many of them. They're going to want to get all of the Serbians as possible on the card. This is a solid fight. Two Europeans. Konstravicus looked pretty mid in his debut against a very bottom of the barrel guy, Chikoli. So you want to build Konstravicus up slowly. I'm pretty sure he's undefeated. If not, he's undefeated in the UFC. Yeah, that should be a solid middleweight fight. Two Europeans. Pretty realistic fight for both guys. Yeah, Todorovic ain't going to say yes or no to no one. He's probably on the verge of being cut. They're going to want him on the card. He's Serbian. That is a solid middleweight fight of two Europeans. Next fight I would like to see. I wouldn't exactly like to see it. However, they're going to put some WMMA slop on this card. And Claudia Sagula versus Alice Pereira is pretty realistic. Claudia Sagula's Polish, coming off of a win in Europe. She'll probably want to be on a European card. There's not many of them. Alice Pereira, solid prospect, coming off of a fraud check in her debut at UFC Noche. She's only young, dangerous, nasty KO against Melissa Croden. No, Hayley Cowan and Melissa Croden, one of the two. I get them mixed up. I know one of them just beat Daria Lesniakova. Anyway, Sorgula's solid. Pereira's an up-and-coming prospect with nasty striking. That's a realistic fight. Prospect, big, solid woman in the division. Sorgula's okay. Coming off a win against Cahoeira. What a woman she is. Anyway, that's a solid, pretty slop WMA fight. High chance of a finish as Alice Pereira is okay. Another fight I would like to see is Danzel Fronza versus Isaac Gakmaev. Sorry if I'm butchering these names. They're just difficult for a white guy from the UK to say. Anyway, this should be a solid scrap. Denzel Frunza coming off for 2 losses in the UFC. Last time out to Charles Ratke. Not bad loss. You know, Charles Ratke is a solid guy. However, I do think he's going to lose this one and get cut. However, he's from Romania. I'm pretty sure he's Romanian. I know those Eastern European guys take their heritage very seriously. I'm pretty sure he's from Romania. Isaac Akhmaev, solid guy from Russia. Trains with Kobabna Madurkaduk. Should want to be on a card like this. That should be a solid welterweight scrap. Had a good debut against Nicholas Dalby. Could have gone either way. Kind of gassed out a bit, which is kind of surprising for those guys. But that should be a fun fight. Solid welterweight division. Get a free win for Isaac Akhmaev. He should win that fight. Franza's okay, not the best. Yeah, that would be a solid welterweight scrap. 2 European guys. And opening up the card, I would like to see, say that with very fine words. Vanessa Demopoulos versus Chanel Dyer. Chanel Dyer, big prospect out of the UK. Nasty win in her debut against Luana Carolina, I want to say. Someone like that, I can't remember her name fully. Anyway, fighting Vanessa Demopoulos, that's a good step up for Chanel Dyer. She looked a bit dodgy in that first round before she got her hair kick KO win. Vanessa Demopoulos is a solid, well-rounded wrestler. Striker, she's not all that anyway, but she's been there and done it in this division. That's a solid step up for Vanessa Demopoulos, for Chanel Dyer. She's 0-3 in her last 4, I'm pretty sure. No, she's coming off of a lot of losses, like 0-4 and 3, something like that. She's not got much leverage with the UFC. She probably gets cut if she loses. I think they'll probably want to feed her to an up-and-comer like a Chanel Dyer. Both, I'm pretty sure she's got Greek heritage. Vanessa Demopoulos is not a very American name. Chanel Dyer is from England. Should probably be another European fight. They probably won't do another England card for a couple of months. Probably next year. Yeah, that should be a decent fight to open up the main card. Chanel Dyer is a solid prospect. A bit of a layup against Vanessa Demopoulos. That is what I would do. Anyway, what do you guys think? Drop a like, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. And goodbye.